don't go raise startup capital for a business that you don't even know will actually succeed.
And say you won't take the baby's food, so why you do it with your business? It's to know exactly what's going on in your business. If I ask you, what is your gross profit, or what are you expected to do next year, next month, and what's happening in the market? Those are questions that you need to be answer as quickly as answering your name.
People working in your business, doesn't matter if it's a receptionist or the top manager in your business, they're all similarly important of building your business together with you. And it's always a team sport. But there's only one big joy of being alive. And if work is fun, then there is no work and everything is fun.
So it goes much deeper, like you said, than the short run of just advertising. So advertising and marketing and branding, those are three different components. You get psychologically comfortable with failing. It's important to try and see where you think your industry is going to, and trying to align with that.
Hello everyone, Jasper Basson. It's really awesome being here, and I've got a very good friend and also a fellow business associate with me today, Leon van Vieren. He's the founder of Optometrist, the whole group. He's a franchise holder. So I invited him to just speak to us regarding building your business and working on your business and not in your business. I think that's what the most people's problem are, business owners and entrepreneurs out there is, and something I aspire to as well from him, and always enjoying chats with him because it's just always very much inspiring. So Leon van Vieren, thank you very much for joining me.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much, Jasper. I appreciate you inviting me, and it's I've got to say it's always very inspiring to have conversations with you as well.
So like I said, I think I think there's a lot of value. I recently saw your post on, I think it's Instagram and Facebook, or one of the social media platforms and you spoke about your origin story, where you started, the struggles of starting your business. It wasn't always like it's right now, and like building and working on your business and not in your business. Right then, it was actually working in your business and not on it. So I think take us to start with people that don't know you. Share with us your origin story as you started.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I think I've always been entrepreneurial. In primary school, I started making cigarettes out of my mom's tea and then selling that at the later stage. I probably wasn't in the right school. And then in high school, I started a printing business on champagne bottles to provide it to dealer principals or dealerships for cars. And that continued into university, and I studied optometry to become an optometrist. And then I went totally medical and lost it for business. Started practicing in Johannesburg, and then I noticed that people keep on breaking their glasses. We were then a group of friends that came together once a week to discuss different business ideas, and I had this idea of creating a business of a eyewear insurance product. So by grace, I don't know how, I got startup funding. I started the business. We built up a product, got over 200 customers. We had 10 employees, worked at it, and we launched within 5 months the product, working with insurers, which was amazing. And then I lost that business literally overnight when one of my customers decided that they as a group would be that they will do the product themselves. So we lost a big part of our business at that point. And although we've raised 3 rounds of funding, we couldn't sustain it anymore. But what that learned me, that by selling and going to our customers, which was optometrists at that time, it enabled me to have a lot of conversations with optometrists and hearing all of the problems that they have. And the entrepreneur, as one is, you look for solutions for those problems. So for each one of them, like you also do, I try and build solutions for each one of those problems. And I always thought, how would it look like if I combined all of these products together? So once I lost my startup after the initial 3 years, there was a practice for sale in Johannesburg for 200,000 Rand. And I always got these SMSs that said, you know, Capitec or whoever will loan you 200,000 Rand. And I thought 1 and 1 is 2. So did a personal loan, bought the practice, very stupid in that sense that I didn't know that you need money for cash flow and stock and advertising and, you know, changing the shop front. So, you know, I had to extend my credit and my wife's credit to get that business running. And it was a big struggle in the beginning. Although we had a few, you know, the right vision, practically making the business work was very difficult. And we stay in Paul. That business is in Sandton, so I had to flew in for months, week in, week out. I couldn't afford accommodation, so I had to sleep in the practice, in the testing consulting room. There was a sleeper couch, there was an aircon, and we didn't have showers. So above us there was a boxing gym, so I had to take boxing lessons to use the showers, which was also very interesting. Yeah, so we continued doing that, and it was so important working in the business and that component to because the customers now is not optometrist, it's patients, you know, it needs glasses and learning to understand what they needed. Yeah, and so from there on, I went to build. I started with a group of friends, also a barbershop, which became 3 barbershops, serving I think over 2,000 customers per month. And then I sold that after 2 years. And then, yeah, so the past 3 years or 1,000 days, that was what the post was about. I've tried to build numerous types of businesses, you know, bookkeeping, graphic designing, and I've learned that, and all of them failed. And I've learned that you know, it's very important to keep to what you know, your industry, and know your industry very well. So we've, you know, a year and a half back, we turned all of our focus just towards optique and our group, and we franchised it. And the focus made a huge difference, and partnering with the right people. And so yeah, today we're opening up our 11th practice on Saturday. We're a group of 11 practices, 6 of which I own, and then there's 5 franchises, and we hope to grow even more, serving the community, because that's actually the main focus of a business, is not generating profit necessarily, but enough profit to make it rewardable for the owner and serve the community. So we're excited about that.
A number of exciting points to actually take our conversation to. There's a number of other ideas I also have, but like I said to you in the beginning, just before we go, I really want to do this in the flow of what even need to come out today, need to come out. So I think the very first thing that's always inspiring to me for any startup entrepreneur, especially a failing entrepreneur, in the sense of or his failures, not a failing entrepreneur, but his failures, is you always get that opportunity of growth in that time of difficulty. If it wasn't for your first failure and the clients that actually stole your business from you, you wouldn't be able to start Optique and be where you are today, because you gain so much knowledge from that experience. So I've been through similar kind of business failures, and it's always if you in hindsight, you always see these great opportunities that was there, and sometimes you take it and sometimes you don't. I think it all depends on how you look at the current situation we are in. So do you agree with me, like, in the sense of
Yes.
I believe every young guy need to go through, especially guys, because our egos tend to be a bit big. So every young guy need to go through a business failure as quickly and as young as possible.
Yes, absolutely. It's, you know, I think it's part of our South African culture to shy away from failure, but it is, in my opinion, absolutely impossible to get from point A to B without the road between point A and B is failure. A friend of mine, he was, you know, honored to get with Investec to go over to the startup valley, in Silicon Valley in California, and one of the things that they looked at as a startup entrepreneur is what what have you failed in? So they wouldn't hire you or invest. The venture capitalists wouldn't even look at a business if you haven't failed before. And I mean, that's a process of gathering information and changing. Just as a human, any live organism does exactly that. So as an entrepreneur, failure is actually the sense of being aware exactly what changes to do. And it's not a bad thing at all. You know, I really find success in the fact that we can fail. But yeah, you have to be comfortable with failing because it happens every day. There's micro failures and there's macro failures, but you have to be comfortable in it. Absolutely.
And the second thing that really that caught my ear was the business funding. I think, especially from my side, being an accountant as well, and my main occupation is accountant. I get a lot of requests from we pretty much all over in the sense of social media, everything. So we get a lot of online kind of queries, new startup clients, new startup businesses, entrepreneurs that want funding. And I always tell them, if you don't have a track record, just build your business organically, as your business can handle it, and as you can handle it, because you need to grow with your business. Personal growth comes with business growth. It goes together. It's not this. Won't find any successful business owner that didn't grow inside as well. So I think that's important. But as for startup funding as well, rather, in my opinion, build your business. Do that first 3 years that you actually build your business with minimum funding. I'm not talking about you that have to purchase a portion of your business, but don't go raise startup capital for a business that you don't even know will actually succeed. So yeah,
Absolutely.
your views on that?
Yeah, you know, we started the startup, we had 1.5 million funding initially, but it makes you comfortable already because you know you'll be able to pay yourself a salary and you have to just get point A to B, and you're not so conscious towards expenses as you would as if it was your own money. And once, you know, the second chapter where I started the business with my own money, you look at every rand that you spend, you look 3 times, you know, if you what's the best result you can get out of it. That's the one aspect. And the second thing of raising money, most of the times it comes to the expense of equity, and having shareholders that doesn't provide any value in your business makes it much more complicated and actually pushes the business into a different stage where you're more focused on reporting and doing what you said, towards the, you know, towards the shareholders, rather than spending that time and that focus on trying to learn and adapt what's going on in the business. So funding is great, and I think if a business is at a certain stage and they do want to scale the business, funding will actually get you quicker from point A to B. But using your own funds as far as possible, and like you said, I agree with the point that your business finances and your personal finances becomes one thing. So if you can't manage your personal finances, you won't be able to manage your business finances. It's always interesting when I consult struggling businesses, I can see that the number one thing, there's two things. One, they lack marketing, and second is they live out of the till. So they swipe the business card for personal expenses, and they don't draw a fixed salary. You know, those are very bad signs for me, because you can't, you know, keep on taking money out of capital out of the business. Me and my wife, we always joke and say, you won't take the baby's food, so why you do it with your business? You know, it's
Yeah.
you can't do that. So yeah, I agree with you 100% on that point. We try and use your own capital as far as possible.
Let's see if there's anybody on here watching, and just give us some love to Leon. It's always great to have someone on, and also be inspired by someone and someone's story, because we all can learn from each other. I mean, there's no one magic bullet, or what we call it, silver bullet. But it's I mean, we all grow from learning from each other, and also associate from similar peers that just inspire us with the energy. So yeah, give us some love. There's some people watching. So yeah, great. Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
want to just want to see if there's any other comment or questions. If there's any questions for Leon, yeah, please fire some questions. Give him some trouble, and yeah, let him struggle with some questions. Um, so Leon, I think from my side, what I want to go to is regarding the working on your business and not in your business. Um, and I think a lot of people hear that, but they don't really understand that. And I think it's very difficult for a lot of reasons. I know I started and I couldn't even delegate. I'm busy writing my first book, and I'm going through all
Fantastic.
those phases of mine and of can't be able to delegate. I wanted to be a receptionist. I wanted to pick up the phone. I want to answer emails. I want to do marketing and be the accountant and do everything in the company. And you get to a point where you realize that if you don't delegate, you can't grow your business. You can't later on scale your business. Um, so I think a lot of people are stuck in the sense of they do their day to day work, and not maybe from your side give a quick indication of somebody that doesn't really understand what I'm talking about right now, the difference between working on your business and working in your business.
Yes, that's a thank you. It's such an important point. I think as a any form of entrepreneurship, even being a business owner, of like let's for instance use a barbershop, the quality and the product the service and the product that you provide is what generates revenue. That's working in your business. So that's we get as owners, it's very important to be hands on and to listen and talk to the customers and provide the best possible quality of service and products. But if you continue doing that as the business owner, for past the stage where the business is at break even, the business will never have the opportunity to grow past the point of full capacity. And working on the business is where you build systems which can capture data, and you look at that data and to steer the business into a next stage or the next level. And I think what some people might think is, oh, so working on the business means I'm the boss, everybody else does all the work, and I just do the think work. And I think that's very important to always be in the business and to a certain extent. For instance, myself, I've been now for the past 6 months, I've now moved out of the business and I'm working on the business. So on the practices, I'm consulting them. I don't see patients on a daily basis. But before that, my day was always split in two. I had a full-time job throughout the day where I was consulting, seeing patients. And then before work, between 5 o'clock in the morning and 8:30 in the morning, and between 8 o'clock and 11 at night, I was working on the business again, where I was looking at the data, looking at what our customers were saying, what was the reviews, where can we improve, and where's the opportunities for our business to grow. And it is absolutely crucial. Like there's no stages where you can focus on one and then on the other. There's stages where they are prioritized and some are more important. But it's so important to work on the business and to be, your hande, in Afrikaans, your hande moet vuil wees. You need to know exactly what's going on in your business. If I ask you, what is your gross profit, or what are you expected to do next year, next month, and what's happening in the market? Those are questions that you need to answer as quickly as answering your name. I don't know if that really is a good explanation of in and on the business, but yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I I always I try to always communicate with my employees as well at Dryk Holdings, in the sense of, I mean, you have people that do. I used to do financial statements. I used to do monthly accounting. I used to do a number of things in the business, and then slowly but surely you progress to the point, and like you say, you have all the knowledge around the business, um, but you can delegate to certain people, give them the responsibility of handling certain things. So these days I have people that do financial statements. I do have a number of people that assist with the monthly accounting. people do statutory information, someone handing online leads, handing my cell phone. So it's and it's not that I'm away and I'm on holiday. I'm still there, but I I see my job as being the person navigating the business, and obviously be there for the customers, etc. But um, monitoring the business toward and steering it towards a certain direction, and make sure financial statements get done and get out. But I don't touch it because then I interfere with somebody's work and I interfere with that trust. So, um, and I think it's also important to understand and to communicate that. That's how I feel, to communicate with your employees regarding that, because just as much as the importance of working on your business, just as important as working in your business. So the people working in your business, doesn't matter if it's a receptionist or the top manager in your business, they're all similarly important of building your business together with you. And it's always a team sport. I mean, I know you also like Robin Sharma, but I mean, he's got this one whole book about leader without a title. And I think if you start running your business regarding that, it's much easier to run your business and work on your business, not in your business, because then it doesn't really matter where you are. Like you say, sometimes you're in the business, sometimes you're working on the business, but it's always a team sport and a team effort to get there.
Absolutely. We've got a culture in our business, like we on your email signature, it doesn't say CEO or optical assistant. It just says here to help. You know, and that's for outside communication. That's the only thing that's really important is for the customer to know that we're here to help, and that there's no bias in how people are treated. And I think it's. I just want to gather my thoughts here. Yeah, I also think the business in itself, if you know the title of the owner of a PTY is director. Now, if you think about the word director in different settings in a movie or a musical director, their responsibility is leading everybody to orchestrate something that works perfectly and harmoniously, and that's the role of the business owner always. And an interesting exercise to do is to quantify your time, is to say that, you know, how much does it cost you, for instance, to do a financial statement versus what do you pay somebody else to do that, or make a cup of coffee, for instance. I mean, if you take 15 minutes to make a proper cup of coffee, which it can be if you, depending on the machine or the percolator, whatever you use, you know, what does it cost you in terms of 15 minutes to make that cup of coffee? It might actually be it's bad for your business. It costs the money, your business, actually too much for you to be making the cup of coffee, rather than employing somebody that makes that cup of coffee for you, or whichever, you know, role in the business it might be. So that's also just a practical way of looking at it and saying, but, you know, where's the line and where should I be focusing my areas or not? Yeah.
Yeah, for pretty much the last year, I've been running my life according to the golden rule of I've identified my strengths and whatever brings me joy in the work. Well, other places as well, but especially now in work. And then from there, I actually outsource all the other stuff. So I don't want to be on my phone all day long. So I've got a PA that filters everything, put it on a Trello board, and some stages and chunks of the day I would reply to and phone all those people back. So I think there's a lot of ways, like you say. I mean, for me to be on the phone all day long, it serves nobody. That serves the clients that are trying to phone me at that stage, but it doesn't serve anybody for me being on the phone all day long and playing on WhatsApp with all the clients. So rather get everything in a structured place, and then from there, chunks of the day you can actually phone people back or reply on an email if it's possible. So I think
I agree.
Focus on those few items that really brings you joy, and I mean you will just excel even more in your business and in your personal life, because everything basically comes together. It's no, for entrepreneur, there's no business life and personal life. It's all mixed together. It's one big, I call it my ikigai. But there's only one big joy of being alive. And if work is fun, then there is no work, and everything is fun to do. So it's probably off the point, but it's still. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, I think you need to try to live each day to the fullest and to the happiest version of yourself. And like I said, ikigai for something bigger than yourself as well.
Sure, that's very insightful. I saw you spoke about the past week. You made a few posts about the 80-20 principle, the Pareto's
Yes,
rule or law, and it's such a powerful principle. You know, I think a practical thing regarding working on your business is like I said initially, the starting point is building systems that can measure um, the business cycles or what the products that you are doing. For us, we've got a few KPIs or key performance indices that we look at on a daily basis. But secondly, we also look at customer reviews. So let's take customer reviews for instance. Um, so it pulls through to a data set where working on the business is looking at all of the customer reviews once a month, and we only ask 3 questions. Were we affordable? Because part of our vision is simplicity and affordability. So whatever we do, that's our true north. What if we want to do something? Does it make it easier for the customer to access eye care, and is it more affordable? So the 3 questions that we ask, or four perhaps, is were we affordable? Were you happy with our services? Would you recommend us to, out of 10, how much would you recommend us to friends and family? And the fifth element is subjective feedback. So anybody can say anything that they'd like. So once a month, applying the 80-20% rule is saying, what's the 20% thing that 80% of the people are saying, and the opposite of it, and trying to improve it. So for us, it would be, for instance, somebody would say, the variety of our frames can be better. Then we will actually go and say, but okay, we need to look at the supplier and look at what's the percentage of our clientele, what can we bring in, and next month we've got a bigger variety of frames. So it's that continuous improvement of 1%. That's just a practical example of working on your business, is looking at the data, taking that 20% gold out of it and making the changes continuously. And I think that's applicable to any business.
I want to go to the point where you're actually working on the business and also supporting other franchise holders, other optiques that potentially buy into the business. Obviously, you have a stage of a business that's separate from you guys, and then at some stage they buy into the franchise, and you go into that business and assist them, like you just mentioned, a number of things, but you go in there and actually advise them on certain things. What are the things that you typically would advise some of these new businesses to change, that you see like a repetition of issues that then need to be done? And yeah, just some ideas on that.
Yeah. I, just to iterate, knowing your business in terms of what is successful margins. The first point is pricing and margins, and that's a very easy thing to set. That's something you can change within a week. But secondly, it is marketing. So creating enough volume to support those margins. So the marketing aspect of any business, I think, as I've learned, is so essential, and it's impossible to have growth without active marketing and having something to market. So marketing, per its definition, is creating, making people aware of the service that you provide, and together with marketing is branding. So branding is creating a business or that looks and feel the way that it will attract the customer that you want to attract. So if everything in your business is going to be pink, you're not going to attract men so often. And it's a stupid example, but your brand has to be align with the type of customer that you want to attract. And so it's difficult to get one or two nuggets, but I think if I had to say one thing is get to know your business. That's the first step. Know your margins. And from there on, once you've actually gave it some data over 2 or 3 months. In the beginning with our franchises, we just put those systems in place. We get to know the business, the area, the customers, and then we can start making some changes based on the data. But in the meanwhile, between those 3 months, you've got to make sure that you make enough margin to continue. I think, like I said previously, as South Africans, we don't like failure, but we also don't like being sharks. So we don't like, adding too much margin. And I agree with that. I think there's an absolute responsibility as business owners, but you have to create margin to see the next day. So I think sometimes just sitting down with some of our customers or of the franchisees, they haven't changed their pricing or increased their pricing for the past 10 years. And in the past 10 years, the inflation and exchange rate and everything has changed. So, looking at all those things and seeing if it's irrelevant to your industry is really, really important. If that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's any wrong or right answer. It's just it's good value. So it's I once sat down with you and you explained to me. I can't remember the name of the graph, but it basically takes you from marketing to sales to gross profit to expenses to net profit after tax. I can't remember where it is exactly, but I mean there's a very good metaphor in the sense of and it covers the two very important aspects of marketing and obviously looking after your finances, because both are important. You can be very good in admin, but if you don't have any sales, there's nothing to admin. But you can also be very good in sales, and you let go of the admin and you like you say, you swipe your card in your business, and before you know it, everything is gone, and you could have built actually a lot of capital into your business, but merely because you don't have control on the admin. So I think that's two very important aspects. I'm very fortunate to be playing in both of these fields, in accounting, where I assist entrepreneurs, and also in the marketing. And I know you also do that. I mean, you do that for your business as well, but on various ways. So I think it's something I really want to. I hope actually I really wish that, and I hope that this subject would come to light, because I think that's something that's Africa, especially after COVID-19. Well, not after COVID-19, but after the hard lockdown and everybody need to reset the business. I think that hopefully, and I've seen a lot of clients actually being open to new ideas and realize, but there's more to marketing than just the short selling of things, because there's two aspects as I see it. I don't know if you know Gary V of America, but he talks about it a lot in the sense of you've got the short selling, but the actual value is in the brand building of constant. He calls himself a day trader of attention, but you need to be out there all the time and of creating value as a thought leader and in your field, and also I see it as like you if you're constantly there in the face of everybody, you build up subconscious information in your customer's head that's not even your customer yet. And if they need eyeglasses, or they need their accountant, or they need whatever your niche are, then they already think about Leon, or they already think about Jasper in that field. So I think that's very important to constantly drive attention and build your brand according to something that you believe in. Then try to short sell and just play the short game and constantly selling. So I know you guys do a lot regarding brand building. You guys use influencers and a number of ideas as well. So I really want to tap into some value from your side regarding marketing, shorter marketing as well, but then obviously the long game, I think, believe that, which is a lot more important. So yeah, the floor is yours.
Yeah, that's a big topic, and I wouldn't say
Yes.
I'm an expert in any way of it, but I can perhaps provide some nuggets. I think for me, I'm a very, very, very big Apple fan. Like I think most people are. And one thing that I really appreciate about their products is the well, the word Apple in its own doesn't tell you anything about computers, right? But they've got a worldwide, they've got fans. They don't have customers. They've got people that, doesn't matter if you're at a bar and there's a debate between Apple and Windows, people are passionate about that brand, because it stands for something, and it stands for thinking differently. I mean, thinking differently doesn't have anything to do with computer products, but in everything that they do, they try and think differently, and I want to align myself with that. So for us, for instance, our business, like I said, is simplicity and affordability and accessibility. But for me, simplicity is like, I think it was Leonardo da Vinci that said simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. But
I think so.
is it anything? I'm not
Oh,
sure.
even Picasso, but yeah, but one of the two, definitely.
And so for me, it's something that I want to align myself to already. We had a discussion beforehand where you said I've got the same clothes on than I got on the picture, and I said, well, all of my clothes are exactly the same, because it's simplicity. It's easy to wear the same thing every day, and so for me, I hope that our customers can align with that in saying that at least for eye care, it can be made simplistic for them and easy to access, and so. And that is what that's what we as a brand create and stand for, and what we advertise. So it goes much deeper, like you said, than the short run of just advertising. So advertising and marketing and branding, those are three different components. And advertising is what generates revenue, but marketing is creating awareness of your brand, and your brand is what do you do differently, or how do you differentiate yourself as a business. And I think, Jasper, to use you as an example, you said, at the top of the formula, you've got marketing that creates leads, that creates sales with the gross profit, and operational expenses creates a net profit. So if you control each one of these aspects of this formula, you create a valuable business. But the top end is marketing, the bottom end is net profit. So you want to align your business with both of those two, so that you can understand your customer from A to B, A to Z, and that's something that makes you different in your business again. I think getting that message out is where the key, where I think it gets difficult, is getting it as clear as possible, because there's so many businesses and people trying to get hold of your attention on the road, on social media, on television, and to stand out is very difficult. And believe it or not, nobody wants to give you their money or attention. So you've got to fight for it. And the only way of doing that in a long-term, sustainable way is by creating absolute value and differentiating yourself from your competitors.
I think I've covered everything I want to cover, but I want to give you, I didn't warn you about this, so that's for fun. I want to, I'm very big on morning routines and all kinds of things. So I'm going to give you any head start. I just want to give me two of each, three if you want to. Morning routine.
Morning routine, wake up at 5, try and get out of the bed at 4:45, and then make a cup of coffee. I usually make a plunger cup of coffee, which will pull 4 minutes, and then by 1:30 I'll be able to spend some time in the Bible and some quiet time for an hour. And then I've got basically an hour and a half from there on, which I divide either spending time with my wife or reading. I really love reading. And then by 8 o'clock, get finished. So we do intermittent fasting, so there's no really breakfast in the morning. But yeah, start the day at 8.
Two daily habits that you believe that change your life and serve you well.
That's very good. That's two daily habits that's changed. Well, I think number one is drinking water, like making that a continuous habit. That's made a big difference. And secondly, believe it or not, I know myself very well in terms, I know what my personality and temperament are. And for me, it's really important to switch off and relax at night. And it makes me much more productive the next day. So by knowing that if you're an extrovert, you'd like spending some time with people, not necessarily every night, but that's important for your energy levels. But for me as an introvert, it's important to switch off and not, have an overactive lifestyle, but also not just working 16 hours a day every day. It's important to manage that energy level. So for me, Netflix and chill, believe it or not, knowing that's
Good.
important for me is good.
Two bad habits that you've overcome regarding business, changed, and that actually serves you well as well.
In business, one is just getting one quote. It's always good to get 3 quotes on something, and not to make decisions too quickly. And then the second bad habit would probably is not living out of your business. I think everybody does that in the beginning, and not living out of your business and your business bank account to is a very bad habit that yeah, you've got to break.
And lastly, three excellent business books that you would suggest to anybody.
Well, depending on the stage, but Rich Dad Poor Dad is if you're a entrepreneur and you want to get into entrepreneurship and the way of thinking, that's really fantastic. Secondly, I like supporting South African books, but there's a book, Sweat, Scale, and Sell, which is a book about the end game of a business, and every business only has two ways it can end. It's by selling it or closing it. So starting with the end in mind, which is a fantastic book. And then thirdly, yeah, I've got to now think about, oh yeah, I would definitely start with why. Going into the core of the business and why you're doing what you're doing, and how does that align with, that speaking about brand of Simon Sinek. Those are 3 books that I would say is different areas, different stages, fantastic books.
Definitely 3 very good books. I really wish you to say 5 AM Club as well, because I knew you've read it. But yeah, it's 3 very good books. I agree with you. I think Robert Kiyosaki, I read like 3 of his books, but Rich Dad Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant. I think it's very, and Cash Flow Quadrant is exactly what we talked about today as well. Working on your business, not in your business.
Absolutely.
So yeah, a lot of value. And then just lastly, 2 last tips that you want to give out to entrepreneurs out there for building their business, especially startup entrepreneurs. I speak a lot to startup entrepreneurs. So any two ideas of value, 2 tips of value.
2 tips of value, I think, for startup entrepreneurs is to get psychologically comfortable with failing and doing persistence. So persistence is probably one of the major key points in business, but also not having a mentor, not being stupid in persistence, knowing when the business is doomed to fail. It's also really important. But to know yourself, your personal growth must always extend or precede the growth of the business. So if you continuously grow as a person, your business will grow. The moment you stop, it won't. So that goes hand in hand with growing in personal persistence. And then the second thing, I think, for everybody in COVID, the businesses that has been trading for quite a while and that's struggling, and I don't think there's a one size fits all approach here. I think if you in the travel and tourism industry, it's really tough, but it's important to try and see where you think your industry is going to, and trying to align with that and to change. Be open to change, be open to adapt, and have an open mind with it, because we'll have to change to survive. And the world is changing, the way business is being done is changing. So continuously changing. I would say that's it.
Valuable points. Thank you very much. And like I said, I mean, I've hasn't been disappointed today. It's always amazing chatting to you. It's always inspiring. So yeah, thank you for your time. I'm sure there's a lot of people that will find value from this as well of your talk today, and a lot of insights to think about.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, and hopefully somebody can one day do an in-depth interview with you as well, so that we can. I think you've got so much to share, and thank you for inviting me on.
Awesome. Thank you. Enjoy your day. Thank you.